Welcome back everybody. We've just had an article over at Entertainment Weekly released giving us some details about some characters for the upcoming Solo, a Star Wars story. So let's take a look, shall we? And then I'll share some of my thoughts afterwards. Link to the article down below in the description. Obviously, any story about the origins of Han Solo must be populated with unsavory characters from the galactic underworld. With Solo, a Star Wars story out May 25th, we have 3 treacherous figures, at least, who will fill out his rogues gallery. Tobias Beckett, played by Woody Harrelson. Well, he really shapes Han really more than anybody, as Han comes to realize that in a lawless time, he needs to try to come to terms with some kind of moral code, says director Ron Howard. Screenwriters Lawrence and John Kasdan both reread Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island before diving into the script, looking to create a similar mentor-apprentice relationship to the pirate Long John Silver and young Jim Hawkins. In that story, Silver was a scoundrel who had been around nefarious circles for a while, but without any great success to his name. He is a very tough criminal, Lawrence Kasdan says of Beckett, and as you might think with Woody, who has enormous humanity, it's not just that. Howard says Beckett is such a charismatic character, and he does have a soft spot, choosing not to end this wannabe smuggler who tries to ingratiate himself. Han sort of forces himself into Woody's life, Lawrence Kasdan says. It starts a relationship that has enormous impact on what kind of person Han will be. Val, played by Thandie Newton. This character is a little more mysterious. We don't have a lot of information about her, except that she carries a massive blaster that's only slightly more intimidating than her scowl. She's tied to Beckett, that's how Han meets Val, says Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. They've been partners a long time. John Kasdan calls Val part of the criminal family that Han gets involved in. She's not impressed with the Corellian pilot, I would say at first glance doesn't necessarily have total faith in Han, as a lot of people he meets in his life tend to feel about him, John Kasdan says. She's a little skeptical of this kid when she meets him, and her relationship with him goes in, I think, an interesting direction. The filmmakers weren't going any further into what that might mean. Dryden Voss, played by Paul Bettany. He is the successful crime boss, the godfather, the debonair and sophisticated hoodlum. We've seen the sleazy take on a gangland chief with Jabba the Hutt, but Voss will give us the handsome version of a figure who has found great success by breaking the rules, but isn't the kind to get his hands dirty. It's a sort of combination of class and swagger and real danger, which I think is a fun thing. And he absolutely inhabits it, says John Kasdan. He's way deeper in the crime world than anyone else that we meet in the movie. While Tobias Beckett is immersed in the underworld too, they're just in slightly different places, John says. Much like a movie like Layer Cake, where you see an Albert Finney type of character who's a little more advanced. The galactic crime realm isn't a place where people concern themselves with titles though. There's no hierarchy, John Kasdan says. There are some that are in power and there's some that are scrambling to stay alive. Voss is a familiar name to Star Wars diehards, since Quinlan Vos was a Jedi featured on the Clone Wars animated series and a background figure in The Phantom Menace. But sorry, Lucasfilm says the similar last names are just coincidence. The makers of Solo wouldn't confirm any other potential villains, but fans have been speculating for some time about the shadow in the back of that picture Howard tweeted of him and Bettany when the actor wrapped production. Yep, that kind of looks like Boba Fett's helmet, and I would be very surprised if he didn't at the very least make a cameo. So I'm a big fan of Woody Harrelson and I think he was born for this role. What I think will happen is he'll take Han Solo in because he sees a bit of himself in Solo. Han might remind him of what he was like when he was younger, and he'll try to give him some pointers. Don't be so reckless and don't be so cocky, kid. You don't know as much as you think you do. Now, they might be recruiting Han because of his piloting skills, and since he was in the Imperial Flight Academy, at least for a while he was before he got kicked out, he might have inside knowledge about the logistics the Empire uses, and this could come in handy for the heist they're planning. Kira, played by Emilia Clarke, probably introduces Han to the gang after seeing what he's capable of. He probably shows showed off his piloting skills to impress her. Now that ties in with Thandie Newton's character Val, who probably upon seeing Han Solo thinks he's the last thing they need. An arrogant, cocky kid who thinks he's the best pilot in the galaxy will probably only get them caught or killed. But as I mentioned before, Beckett seems to have a soft spot for him, and Kira probably vouches for him, and he might even end up doing something that wins Val over as well. And finally, Dryden Voss. So this isn't the first time they've recycled a name in Star Wars. Originally, Rey was supposed to be named Kira. Now Emilia Clarke's character is named Kira, the difference being it's spelt with a Q instead of a K. But I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of speculation as to whether or not Dryden Voss has any connection to Quinlan Vos. So my guess would be that Beckett and his crew are hired by Dryden Voss to acquire an artifact or some type of item, perhaps even a military grade weapon. I say that because of that explosion in the trailer. Now maybe Dryden Voss plans to offer or sell the weapon to the rebellion, who are still in their early days. Because this is a heist movie with gangsters, I think these Mad Max guys here will probably be from a rival clan. Maybe they work for Jabba the Hutt, or they might be connected to the Shadow Collective that Darth Maul formed in the Clone Wars. Actually, Maul could even make an appearance. He's still out there during this film. Now, they might have a dilemma by the end of the film as to whether or not they should return whatever they were sent out to acquire to Dryden Voss, or maybe Beckett realizes the rebellion could use it, and for the first time in his life he decides to do the right thing. I say this because if Beckett ends up dying because of such an act, which I think will happen, this could indeed set up and shape the Han Solo we meet in A New Hope. Seeing his mentor die because he decided to do the right thing for once would explain why Han Solo doesn't care about any of the factions later on. Caring only gets you killed, there's only profit, and you look out for yourself because no one else will. Of course, we know Han Solo has a change of heart as well, which could also be due to Beckett's actions. Sometimes doing the right thing, even if it gets you killed, is the way to go. So there you have it, peoples. Those are some of my thoughts as to where the story might be going on the limited amount of info we had thus far. Leave your thoughts and ideas down below. If you're new to the channel and enjoy the content, hit that notification bell to stay updated. I do Star Wars along with some other franchises I enjoy, so hopefully there's something for everybody to watch. Thanks for dropping by, everybody, and don't forget to like, share, sub, and all of that good stuff. And until next time, see yas!